percentage of women on my staff of any governor in the country now. Admittedly, and I think as women, it's important for us to open those doors. Many of you have heard the story about Lady Astor, who was the first woman to serve in the British Parliament. You know, as the story goes, she took her seat and was welcomed by a member who said to her, "Welcome to the most exclusive men's club in Europe." Lady Astor, never wanted to be outdone, replied, "Well, it won't be exclusive for long. When I came in, I left the door wide open." All of the work that all of you have been doing in your states has made a huge difference. But there is so much more that needs to be done. Women are still more likely to live in poverty, less likely to have access to health insurance, much more likely to be victims of domestic violence, sexual abuse, more likely to be discriminated against in employment. Quality, affordable child care is still unavailable for too many families. Women remain overrepresented at the bottom and underrepresented at the top in both the public and the private sectors. Women now account for about half of all managerial positions, but only 15% of corporate officers, only 5% of top corporate wage earners, and about 1.6% of Fortune 500 CEOs. And working mothers are still held to higher standards than working fathers, and we are often criticized for being insufficiently committed either to our jobs or our families. Now, if we're going to keep moving forward on those issues, we've got to continue fighting, just as all of you here in this room are in your states. That's why it's important for people like Joan to think about running for higher office, for people like all of you here in this room to think about it and to do everything you can to encourage your neighbors, your daughters, your relatives, your friends, to get involved in the political process. We all know what a difference it makes, and we can't wait another 100 years to achieve parity. Thank you very much.
We have before us today your life's record and the steps you have now taken. It's going to be in the U.S. Senate. Questions?
Thank you. I'm Joyce Elliott from Arkansas, and last night we had this wonderful discussion about what we could do to help women run for office vis-a-vis the family issues and so forth. Now, you were lucky, and I think I was extremely lucky, but it worked out well for you. Your family was involved, and most of us don't have that convenience. What do you think we should do to change the whole structure, the whole rubric for what we can do to help women run for office who don't have that kind of fortune? And I'll just say quickly, I think that we're still running according to what we expect of men, even as women. How do we change that and help one another?
Well, and I think the answer to this is to get more women to run. Because the more women the electorate sees running for office, serving in office, the more accustomed they will become to the fact that women, like men, come from different backgrounds. We have different family situations, and that has not a whole lot to do with the kind of job that we're going to do in office. And so I think if we look at the women governors in the country right now, we have everybody from Janet Napolitano in Arizona, who is not married and does not have any children, to Jennifer Granholm in Michigan, who has a family and still we have Michigan.
Yeah. We don't know if we have a government, though.
Yeah, I know. And the same is true of some of the Republican governors. So I think they also provide some models for how to do it if you aren't married. Janet Napolitano, I think when she was running the first time, had pictures with other members of her family. Barbara Mikulski is often photographed with her mother, who is a much older woman. So that's showing that you can do those family responsibilities and have that commitment to family. You can do that without necessarily having it be your immediate spouse or children.
Could I also say that at the state level, you could make meals for somebody, pick up their dry cleaning? Yeah. Drive them around, get their gas.
What's our responsibility when you run?
Hi, I'm Ellen Anderson, State Senator from Minnesota. You talked about the perception problem that women face about not being tough enough. Can you just tell us a story or give us an example of one time when you were governor and faced a crisis or one of your toughest moments, how you handled it and how the public responded?
Yeah, I think one of the real eye-opening moments, and it wasn't really a moment, it evolved over time. I sort of had this perception that once I got elected to office, that people would believe that I could do the job, and that all those issues around male versus female and competence and strength and toughness would go away. Boy, was I wrong. And so I think I didn't appreciate the extent to which you have to continue to prove yourself over and over again on every issue. And one of the issues that was a big issue in New Hampshire at the time was taxes, tax policy. Taxes are still a big issue in New Hampshire. It's one of the 2 states in the country without a sales or income tax, and I had pledged to veto an income tax if I got elected. We had a big issue around funding of our school system, and the legislature, I think, didn't believe me or didn't think I would really veto a tax if it was passed. And so we had a back and forth for a long period of time while we were trying to deal with this issue in a way that I think was different because I was a woman than it would have been if I had been a man. I think the legislature would have been more accepting of the fact that I had meant what I said when I pledged that